Hello, Dr. James Bogash, expert in health and longevity, and as a practicing chiropractor, talking about patients who are talking with patients who have questions about over-the-counter pain relief is quite common. I've already expressed my concern with anti-inflammatories like NSAIDs, Ibuprofen, and that everything in that class, and how it really is not good for the kidneys, liver, joints, GI tract, heart. Other than that, they're perfectly safe. But there's also another incredibly common over-the-counter painkiller that we take for granted is safe. Before I go on with the rest of this, or reviewing the study, make sure you like this video, share it with somebody you think needs the information, and subscribe to the channel. That being said, Tylenol, acetaminophen, paracetamol, just depending upon where you are and how much you want to pay, is considered a safe over-the-counter pain reliever, fever reducer. Heck, we give it to toddlers, we give it to pregnant women, just because we think it's safe. And, too much of it obviously is not good for the kidneys and liver. You try to overdose on Tylenol and you're going to kill off your kidneys and liver. One of the problems with that is Tylenol is known to deplete a compound called glutathione, which is a very potent antioxidant. So if you take something in high amounts and you burn through the glutathione, you can't protect those tissues. And that's part of where the kidney failure comes from, both not just acute dosing, but also with chronic use over time. What surprises me is I have a lot of patients who were told that ibuprofen is safer on the kidneys, that Tylenol is safer on the kidneys than ibuprofen. That's just not true. The data strongly suggests that Tylenol is worse for the kidneys. But it's always been considered safe for the GI tract, like not causing ulcers. However, there's been accumulating data over the decades that this is probably not the case. This was a study done following people for 20 years, for 65 and older. Average age, I think, was like 73, 74. There were 180,000 people who, during this time frame, took Tylenol, acetaminophen, paracetamol, and 400,000 that didn't. So they compared the groups. Now, this was done in the UK, where if you have a prescription, you get your Tylenol for free. So there's always some challenges with that. It doesn't count over-the-counter use, and we don't know how heavy that was or wasn't. But because they're trying to do the data set, it's very easy to capture this within the insurance system because people get it for free when they have the prescription. So that being said, the research found that those who took the Tylenol, acetaminophen, paracetamol had a 20% increased risk of developing a peptic ulcer, 9% increased risk of developing heart failure, 19% increased risk of chronic kidney disease, which we know that they're not good for the kidneys, 7% increased risk of hypertension, might be from the kidney damage, and a 36% higher risk of lower GI bleed, so not just stomach, but down in the small intestine, large intestine, which is scary. But the more dosage that people took, the more prescription they had, the more these risks actually started to increase from there. So overall, not safe, and it's a long litany, but you look at the GI tract and the kidneys are probably the biggest things that are affected by these. The bottom line is these are not safe to take. Just because they're over-the-counter does not mean that they don't create problems. Obviously, my bias is towards chiropractic care, which doesn't use any of that stuff. And if we can help somebody get comfortable without those painkillers, we've done a huge service to that patient. As always, I'll post a link to this particular study in the description. Make sure you like this video, share it with somebody who you think needs the information, and subscribe to the channel.